2012. And after that, I mean, while doing it, I already had about 22 years of experience in different, industries and different domains. I started my professional career with advertising. Then I moved to corporate marketing and did various things before I joined analytics. And currently, I have about 16 years of experience in analytics, different subdomains of analytics. And after doing my PGP Max, I actually joined as the delivery head of a digital analytics consulting company called Nabler. And then thereafter I took a courageous step of assisting my husband in doing his startup, which was also in the area of predictive analytics. So I developed the analytics module of that particular company, which was Predictly Tech Lab. And then I joined Mu Sigma after 18 months after completion of that analytics module that I was developing for Predictly. So currently, for the last 3+ years, I've been with Mu Sigma. And as Smriti also explained, I'm an apprentice leader there. We are a very, very, what should I say, flat organization. So we do not really have fancy designations or a lot of glamorous roles to play in Mu Sigma. We all basically operate like a startup company, and we roll up our sleeves and do whatever it takes to do to what needs to get done. So that's briefly who I am. And again, very happy to meet all of you here. We will let you know about our experience in PGP Max and the wonderful time we had in ISB while doing that course. And hopefully you will also understand, and you will get attracted to that joyful learning experience that three of us have had.
Sure.
That's it.
Thank you, Bhaswati. That was a wonderful introduction and a lovely start to the session. Amit, moving on to you, if you can introduce yourself a bit.
Thanks, Smriti. Hello, dear friends. I'm Amit Sinha, and I'm honored to be here in this panelist here. Thank you very much, Smriti, for calling us in. It's a pleasure to be talking to the prospective students and the students here. So I have a very typical background. I've had some military service, and then I've had some business experience. When I applied for ISB, I had around 20 years of work experience, so to say, and I thought I was in the fag end. And I needed to do this because I thought there were a lot of blind spots. And it was a very enlightening experience. I think more than the professors, it was the fellow classmates who made the difference. Just to tell to all the students here, I'm a very average student. And of course, not among the topper anytime, but I'm generally happy and excited with life. And that is what makes it going when you have friends around, because your friends and your classmate, go out of the way to teach you and ensure that you get good scores. And by doing this, of course, we develop a lot of deep friendship and relations with classmates. And by virtue of that, I would say that I have connect and network across every industry vertical. I currently am the MD and CEO of Sigachi Industries. We are into the pharmaceutical space. We make excipients, we make ingredients, we make nutritional ingredients, which go into all the tablet, capsules, syrups, and responsible for everything at the company here. I think we'll talk further as the Q&A happens. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Smriti.
Sure. Thank you, Amit. It was lovely to have you here. Krishnan, moving on to you, can we start with a little introduction?
Yes, please. Thank you, Smriti. So following what we heard from Swati and Amit, I think my side, firstly, greetings, Krishan Kohli, PGP Max 2014 batch, and thanks ISB and Smriti to have me here today. Very happy to speak to all of you. So my side, I think a little bit of introduction. I'm currently working for Continental AG. This is a German MNC, and I'm the India market head for their brakes business, hydraulic brakes and vehicle dynamics. Also the managing director for the Continental Automotive Brakes in India. Overall, 30 plus years of work experience, mostly in the automotive domain sector, both India and global markets. I have worked in China, I have worked in US a couple of years, and I think when I enrolled for ISB, I should also say Amit mentioned 20 years, and that was definitely a question for me. For me, it was 23 years. I was in Shanghai those days. When I enrolled for ISB, 23 years, going back to the school, it was a question for me and a little bit of like jitteriness, how it will go, but worked very well. Currently, I'm based out of Gurgaon, and I think in past I have worked multi-organizations, Tata, Eicher, Eaton, and then currently with Conti last 4 years, based out of Gurgaon, as I said. So overall, I think this is what is my intro, and I'm very happy to speak to all of you and share my experiences. In a bit, I think Smriti will lead us into some of those topics, and then we will speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Krishnan, for the introduction, and lovely to have you here again. So we'll start the session now. I have some questions which come to my mind when I speak to the aspirants who want to join the PGP Max program. So I have just a few questions before I hand it over to the audience to strike a conversation with you all. So the first question I have for all of you is, what was your reason for pursuing the program? Like, why did you think you want to do a PGP Max program at whatever stage of your career you were? And, how did doing the program change your life after graduating from it? So, again, Baswati, you can start.
Oh, okay. So, okay, I'll take that up. Yeah, so what was my reason for, getting into PGP Max? There were a couple of reasons. The first thing is my first MBA. By the way, PGP Max was my second MBA. My first MBA I had done in marketing and finance. In those days, I did my first MBA in 1994. In those days, the people who did their marketing finance MBA were actually called as the mafia group because they were in hot demand. Yeah. And that is the aspiration with which I had done the MBA. But what happened, all of us know after that, economic liberalization happened. And the entire concept of marketing changed across the globe. And the most of it happened also in India. So I suddenly realized after years of working in advertising and marketing, I suddenly realized that the understanding and the expertise I have certainly become obsolete, and I need to kind of get fresh understanding of the market scenario, get understanding of fresh concepts. And that's when I thought that I should go back to PGP Max. The second reason is, though I did marketing and finance, it was done 20 years back, and I felt a little inadequate to manage the P&L responsibilities that I was managing at that point of time, because the understanding I had of finance was not adequate for me to do justice to that role. And hence I felt that, sometimes I'm sitting in a boardroom and people are talking about equity and debt and stuff like that. I'm pretending to understand while I'm not really grasping it totally, what is happening. But how do I kind of leverage whatever they're talking about? And that's when I realized that if I really want to be a good P&L leader, I need a solid finance foundation that is based on market reality and not a theoretical theoretical understanding that I gathered in my first MBA. So these were two primary reasons that I wanted to get back to PGP Max for. The last one is a little frivolous. It might make you laugh. What happened is I always, after doing my first MBA, I always felt I wish I had worked harder, got better score, and thereby got a better launch pad to my career. And then I thought I will do my second MBA and remove all those errors, all those mistakes I had committed in my first MBA, because I really felt that if I had that level of motivation, which I gathered later, I would have done much better in my academic performance in the first MBA. But to tell you frankly, you might laugh. I realized that, it's very difficult to change your studying style, your learning ability, even though if you're doing 2 MBAs in a span of 20 years, because I actually went and repeated most of my mistakes even in the second MBA that I did. So that's briefly what happened with me and why I took up PGP Max after 20 years.
Thank you, Baswati, and thank you for candidly sharing your thoughts here. Moving on to Amit, your thoughts, why you did an EMBA and then your learnings from the program.
So like I spoke in my intro, gradually as life continued in the business, I realized that there were a lot of blind spots. And other than looking into books, other than reaching out to your other friends, one really didn't have anything concrete on that subject. Something like a strategic alliance. I really didn't have anything to look back to see which way one could. So that was one of my reasons. My second reason was to move myself out from my the functional head which I have, to move it to a leadership head. All the while, when I looked at the balance sheet, I would always look at aspects which were more closely related to what I did before. And to move that mindset, I thought, I think this is the best break I need to kind of reorient myself. And that was the reason. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you for sharing that. Krishnan, why did you join the program when you joined it?
Yeah, sure. So I think a couple of things already covered by Swati and Amit, and my reasons, typically, I would say 23 years of working. I was fairly successful all along automotive domain, but fairly successful into a global role sitting in Shanghai, and everything is working well. I think something which was sticking in me, something like a midlife crisis, I was thinking there is something missing. And what was it? I was not able to figure out up until different interactions, exposures in the industry. And then I realized, I think what I need is an MBA. And this is basically going to help me get structured inputs basically into the business and how you look at business. We talked about P&Ls. So currently I run 2 P&Ls here, but I think this was evading. And once I went through PGP Max, which is maybe we'll talk in a bit how is this program structured, but it really gave me that orbital shift, which was much required. And as I said, I was the commercial director into the Asia Pacific region, pretty large business, but I think the business head roles and the P&Ls, they started coming only subsequently. And I think there are few other things that we say how life changed after graduating. So one is very subtly, there was impatience in our batch when we were getting graduated. Everybody's counting 6 months. What happened? Did you get your next promotion? A few months, and like that anxiety was there. It took us like almost, I would be very candid, about a year plus when we started seeing, many of us in our group started seeing the results in our careers, whatever we were pursuing. But also, I think very important takeaway that I have from my ISB graduation is friends for life that we got after so many years, the C connects that we developed, I think this is very important, apart from many other things we'll talk in a bit. So for me, I think if I reflect back, I think this was one of the good decisions that I made in my life 23 years later in career. But yeah, I think worked well. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Krishnan. So the next question that I have for all of you is, you have two most important lessons that you learned from the program. This time I'll, hand it over to Amit to start with the dialogue.
Yes. So one of the very good lessons I learned was, it doesn't matter what you have done till today. If you believe that PGP Max is a launch platform, you have to start from zero. It is irrespective of what you are, where you were, and what you have done all this while. You have to start from, as if, that you're taking your first step after your MBA. If you have that belief, things are possible. If you think that immediately after PGP Max, you're going to kind of, have a promotion letter, you're going to get a, something very good out of the blue, that might actually not happen. Like Krishnan said, you have to kind of wait on and get things rolling within yourself and to the surroundings around you, and things will actually start to change. My second learning was that, other than academics of course were there, but I would not really call that learning, because you gradually tend to forget it. You only remember what you actually apply. My second learning was that, again, Krishnan said, they're good friends for life. And today, if I need an expertise in any other subject, I am a pharma guy. If I need an expertise in AI and ML, I know whom I need to get to. And he will give me unbiased opinion and realistic industry status of what can be done there. And that's kind of unmeasurable, very valuable. That's my 2 cents.
Right. And yeah, thank you, Amit. And you touched upon a very important aspect of, having friends and network for life whom you can reach out to at any point of time for any of your problems or any of your requirements. So thank you for letting us know. Then moving on to Krishnan, your 2 important lessons from the program.
Yeah, so I think looks like we definitely have a few things in common between the 3 alums that we have here as speakers. For me, I think the first one that I would say, we are saying, what are the 2 most important lessons? So I think executive MBA, 23 years in my career, and executive MBA, this was sponsored by my company that time. It's definitely at a particular price, but sponsored. So I thought, coming from China, maybe a little bit of a fun. And that was the perception when I walked in, and there was a structure of enrollment and admissions. And thereafter, in the very first term, when we landed there in the campus in Hyderabad, I think very quickly, it was not even the finish of day 1 or day 2. We realized this is not the fun program alone only. It is very well structured, like any other full-time MBA, I would say. And ISB has put in a lot of efforts to really structure and format this program. And I think we did have a lot of fun as well on the way. But this definitely was something which I came with different perceptions, and very quickly we realized that this is a full-time MBA almost, and you really have to work your way through, but also get all the fun on the way along. So that was one learning. And I think even I mentioned, and Amit was reiterating, friends for life. So that is a given. I think 2014, thereafter, there are 62 people in our group. So we are all connected very much, India, overseas. And also now we have a blended group, different years. So there are almost 3 or 4 groups. I was in Bangalore for some time, and then we had a group there in Gurgaon currently and over here. So I think friends for life is one thing. You can always reach out for any topics that you have on business side or otherwise. But also apart from that, I must say, the two campuses that we got exposed to, apart from the overseas immersion programs, but both Hyderabad and Mohali, great campuses. Hyderabad very much, Smriti has it in the backdrop, like it so much. And then, of course, the great faculty access that ISB has. I was very impressed with that as well. So I think overall, these are few learnings my side that I took out of my 2 years there, or 1.5 years here.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Krishnan. Baswati, over to you. Your two important learnings.
Yeah, sure. So my, my answer to this question, Smriti, is also pretty much in resonance with what Amit and Krishnan have already said. There are two learnings. The first thing I learned in this program is no man is an island. So, I realized at that point of time, I had also read that Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. And I realized that if I want to, or if I aspire to achieve success, that success cannot be brought in only by my effort or my capabilities. Success is the outcome of effective collaboration between me and my network. And that is something, that is something PGP Max offered to me. Today, I have a network of people who were my peers, my batchmates in the program, with whom I'm constantly in touch, and we help one another. We, consult one another whenever we require. There are, and you'd be amazed as to how many people actually collaborated and started their own startup just because they met one another and they understood that how much they complement each other's talents and what they can do together. So that was one thing, of course, the fact that what I want to achieve in the given future can only be achieved if I have a solid support system in terms of my friends and network. The second learning that I had is with respect to this understanding that I got from my faculty in PGP Max and also my friends, my batchmates, which says that you cannot influence a person's decision until and unless you can influence his or her life. And that's something I've kept with me in my entire professional tenure after PGP Max. I realized how much my faculty, the professors who taught me, how much they influenced my life, how much they enriched my professional capabilities. And so did the friends, so did the batchmates. And to the extent that, even if I have to take an important professional decision today, I always go back to my network and say, guys, this is the scene and this is what I'm thinking. What do you guys say? What is your point of view? I have that channel where I can actually go and brainstorm with a bunch of people, and they will tell me what is good for me in such a way, considering the ample faith I have in their wisdom and their their understanding of what is good for me, that I would actually get influence to take the correct decision. And that's something that I also kind of keep in my mind. I'm in touch with even some of my faculty, not all of them, some of my professors. I go back to them sometimes saying, this is the problem I'm facing in my business. What do you recommend? How do you think I should deal with it? And they have always been very, very open in coming up with suggestions. So these are the two things I learned, that, I need to support people. I need to influence, make a difference to their life to actually have some kind of influence over their decision making. And the second thing is, as a human being and a professional, I also need a support system, which is amply available in this particular, thanks to me doing this program. So these two learnings is what I have.
Sure. Thank you all of you for answering that question. And it was a lovely interpretation of your learnings of the program. So I move on to the next question. Doing a program at this stage of your career will involve a lot of time investment from your end. So, how did you manage to strike a balance between your professional and personal pursuits, along with the third aspect of studying for PGP Max? So, I think being a woman, it is more difficult to strike a chord between all the three because it is a lot more responsibility. So starting with you, Baswati, your thoughts on that, and then we move on to Amit and Krishna.
Yeah, Smriti, firstly, just to tell you, it might sound a little radical. As I told you that I started my professional career with advertising. And my first advertising boss told me, Swati, if you want to make it in advertising, then don't get in here thinking of yourself as a working woman. Get in here thinking of yourself as someone, a person who's trying to build a career in advertising. Don't get your gender in and expect people to differentiate basis your gender. And that's something that I took to heart. And I never got into any profession thinking that they should kind of think about me as a woman. I always thought that they should think about me as a professional. And the fact that I'm a woman, which brings in its own set of challenges, are things that I should sort at my level and not expect my employer to solve that problem for me. That is one thing. Second thing is, of course, there are a lot of personal and professional constraints that come in when you get into this kind of a program of long duration. But what I did is I took a gap of 1 year. I actually quit my last job. I realized that, whatever money I had saved up, the best utilization of that money is to use it for buying my freedom. And I bought my freedom for a year. I got into this course. I'm not someone who is great at doing too many things at the same time. I don't believe in too much of multitasking. So I did one thing at a time. I did this course, and then about 2 months before the course, I got back into a new job. So that's how I managed. Some things just got managed. It was like doing the balancing act on everyday basis. Some days some things will fall apart, some days some things will go smoothly, but overall it was okay, it was manageable.
Sure. Thank you, Baswati, and thank you for sharing a very important learning that you don't need to get that bias inside your head to start with, and then life moves on and take one step at a time as it comes. So thank you for sharing that note. Moving on to Amit, I know it's equally, difficult for males also to be juggling between all the three aspects. So how did you manage that?
So I find this a very interesting question. The interesting part is that, we all believe that we are very successful in life, and we still need to get something more done to be even more successful. And the first term, there's a subject wherein you are taught statistics, something closer to that. And, then you realize what you actually are. You come in with a lot of head weight. And the first, like Krishnan said, first couple of days, you realize it's not really a happy ride. So what exactly happened was I thought I was good and I still needed to learn something. And I thought I didn't have time. And I incidentally went in for a PGP Pro, discussion session in the evening, face to face. And then we used to even have dinners. So we had a discussion and everything was good. And after the dinner session, during the dinner session, I happened to tell somebody that I have 20 years of experience. And I remember there was a lady, and she caught hold of my arm, and she took me to the admission committee, somebody very senior. I don't recollect who it was. And she said, have a look at this guy. He's a naval officer. He's got 20 years of experience, and he thinks of doing a PGP Pro. So I said, my God, what wrong did I do? And then I think I was asked this question, why is it that you think of PGP Pro? So I said, I can only let go the weekends. I'm indispensable. So, they had a very big laugh. And they laughed their heart out, and they said, okay, let me tell you an instant. And then he spoke about the dean, then Ajit. So he said that the dean was they were driving past a graveyard. And he turned back and he said to the colleague there in the car that, all the guys who are there inside at one moment of time thought they were indispensable, but now they are dispensed with and life goes on. So he said, don't get into this notion that you are indispensable. If it is of priority for you, you will anyways do it. So that was it. I realized that it was a priority for me, and it was my way to look at seeing how I could take out 7 days continuously without affecting the business. And because it was priority, I put it on the top, and the family, the work, business, everything else just aligned. That's it.
Thank you so much, Amit, for letting us know. And definitely, none of us are indispensable. We have to think of our priorities straight to, to start with something that we really want to do. Thank you for sharing that note, Amit. Krishnan, over to you. How did you try and manage all these aspects?
Yeah, no, I was just having a nice smile my side with the example that Amit shared. It's a very good one, actually. Bang on. So I think when we say work, family, and study, I think firstly, my side, as already mentioned, pretty successful in my career. Also had those, I won't say exact qualms, but yeah, a little bit of that air. Yeah, I'm into all those roles and very important. But also, just to mention, I was having a lot of travel my side, almost like 15 days a month was my travel schedule overseas. And then this topic comes, I take a decision. So decision done, and then I have to do it. So I think the word that Amit already picked, this is what I was about to say. You have to make a priority. And then once done, then you prioritize. Family did support a lot. And that 1 week was all time out into ISB, the 1 week every term. So I used to manage some calls late evening somewhere, but mostly that week was given into the study. There was some homework or the pre-work before the term. And there were some exercises also we used to manage. And those were the weekends when we are back on work. So very important for me, the balance did come in place with the support of the family. But decision done, prioritization was important. And I think everything fell in place.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Krishnan, for sharing that note again. So I move on to my next question. We all understand that doing PGP Max is a huge time investment, but apart from being a huge time investment, it is also a huge financial commitment that you put in your savings to upgrade yourself and upskill yourself. So talking about the ROI. So what do you think was your ROI of the program? I know you might take the monetary aspects of getting the ROI, but according to you, what was the ROI you defined from the program? So starting from you, Amit.
So it's ROI in absolute value is very difficult to quantify. I would say to the aspirants and the students here, which way would you look at yourself if you were not to do it? Well, what will be the kind of repercussions if you were not to do it? It's something like taking in a tablet. You feel that the tablet is costly, but what if you were not taking it? How big the cost it would be if you're not actually taking it? I mean, my logic is that. So I don't see this as a real cost. I see it as an investment. So it is definitely worth it, every bit of it. That's it.
Sure. Thank you, Amit. Baswati, what do you think was your ROI from the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started looking out for this PGP Max program and what it entails, what kind of expenses it involves, I actually consulted my father, who was 72-year-old then. And I told him, Dad, this is an expensive program, but I really, really want to do it. What do you think? It's very expensive. So he told me, if you are considering so much the cost of learning, why don't you for once consider the cost of ignorance? And that actually convinced me, because I realized that the cost of ignorance of not doing this program and staying at the level of ignorance that I had stayed at that point of time is so huge that my ROI is not really in terms of promotion or incremental salary or anything like that, which might or might not happen. It all depends upon various other factors apart from what I'm going to do in PGP Max. But the cost of ignorance that I have to bear like a cross for the rest of my professional career was big enough for me to think that the return on investment is actually the understanding, the learning I'm going to get, and I will be in a position to leverage for the rest of my career. So that was the ROI that I actually thought of and got from this program.
Sure. Thank you for sharing that wonderful thought, cost of ignorance. Now, I'll also, whenever I try to, I'm in a dilemma, I'll definitely try this concept of yours. Thank you for letting us know. Krishnan, Krishnan, I think you are left to answer about the ROI.
Yeah, I think, Smriti, while you have the question framed in this manner, but I would agree with already the responses put in. Should we look at from a ROI perspective, or it is an investment in your career that you make? And then I already mentioned in my intro, so mine was a sponsored case, but I think in my batch, we did have a lot of people who were putting in their own money and significant kind of investment. So those questions do cross your mind. And I think if you see that you graduate and the next month you will get a fantastic return, I don't think that then there are wrong perceptions we will have in our heads. So it takes a little bit of a while, over a year, within 2 years, I think, then you start seeing the benefits of doing this program. And I will not look at from an ROI standpoint. It's more like an investment, or both the examples Amit and Swati gave, very pertinent. So that's how I see. Definitely, it is worthwhile. I already mentioned that I took the decision doing this.
Thank you, Alan, for sharing all that answers with all of us and patiently answering to all my questions. Now I hand over the session to our attendees today. So attendees, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hands, and I see quite a few hands already up. What I'll do is I'll unmute you, and you can ask your questions directly to the alums. But what I would suggest is keep the program specific questions for us to answer. We will answer that on a one-to-one call that we have with you. Right now, you can ask for the experiences or the curriculum or any other queries that you have from the alums directly. So first I have Sonal Negi, who raised her hand. Sonal, you can unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Sonal. My question is, why did you go for an MBA with or this program with ISB? Why not go for a overseas MBA? What are the pros and cons?
So who wants to take it up? Yeah, sorry, Smriti, are you going to decide who should take it up?
No, you please feel free to answer the questions.
Yeah, so good evening, Sonal. There are a few very simplistic answers to the question, why did we not go for an overseas program? First thing is, we felt that this program, it would be easy for us to do it staying within India. At the same time, take care of other things in parallel, which will become more difficult if we went overseas for this program. The cost of an overseas program would have also been a lot higher, but more importantly, the learning we would have got, because I'm talking about my domain of marketing, which I really wanted to focus on. The marketing scenario is very geolocation specific, it's very country specific. So the kind of learning I would get in US or UK or Singapore would be very, very different from the kind of relevant learning I would get in India. So that is one primary reason why I thought that I should do my second MBA with an institute within India. And that's how I took the decision.
Sonal, I would like to add in that one of the prime reasons I thought so was I thought it would be better to have peers from this place, people who understand what India is, people with whom I can connect immediately. If it was something abroad, of course, I would have a very diverse set of students, but connecting up with them would have been much more longish. And they understanding the situations and the scenario of what India is much easier than what it would have been if it was a situation abroad.
Yeah, so a couple of things from my side. I think when I was picking on, because I had options and company sponsored overseas already, so I did evaluate few other options like INSEAD. I did look at Hong Kong. And then I think a few reasons already mentioned by Swati and Amit, but also we all understand, and I think this is all data available on the net. So ISB does a lot of research, and that really comes handy. Number one, I already mentioned the faculty that gets looped in, the immersion programs. So all in all, I think world-class faculty that was coming, it is not just the professors in ISB campus. We were getting a lot of profs from overseas universities. And then of course, Amit already mentioned, when you say friends for life, I think it was a great decision. So most of the people, there were a lot of people from overseas, US, Dubai, who were coming in our batch to do this. But I think most of the people were home-based here in the country, and I think well connected today and very handy. Yeah.
Sonal, I hope that answers your question. Do you have any follow-up question there?
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sonal. So now I have Anup. Anup, I have unmuted you. You can ask your question.
Thank you, Smriti. Hi, all. So my question is, I come from an entrepreneurial background. I've run my own company for 5 years, and for some reason I had to close it down, evidently the financial reasons. And then I've moved into a job where I'm doing IT cloud job for last 1 decade and 2 years on it. So currently my role is techno-managerial role, and I'm at crossroad how to grow into a next role, because I like technology as well and I like client side servicing as well. So the crux of my point here is that how PGP Max will help me, where I would leverage my technology as well as my other side of skill set that relates to business.
So maybe can I take a shot on this, and then we can have more chime in. So I think what I would say in our batch, class of 2014, while there was a global blend, diversity, but also I think there were a lot of entrepreneurs, Hyderabad itself, and then other cities who had joined in. Small startups and also large businesses. It was a good mix. And we used to chat, why are you guys here? Why you are doing this program? And it's pretty intense and an investment. And I think each of them that we see, there is a technology. There was somebody who was doing a new startup on a technology side again, out of Hyderabad itself. So how do you commercialize your technology and the structured inputs that you get out of an MBA? And I already equated this as a full-time MBA and one of the world class. So how do you really get those inputs to financially evaluate your business cases? And then when it comes to commercialization, you're not missing an opportunity. And then, of course, how to run the P&L efficiently. At least the structured inputs are available, and thereafter you really learn your way when you are on the job. But I think overall, if I am still connected with many of my friends, batchmates, and I think everybody feels they definitely got benefited, and there are nice memories. So I would say no proper inputs I could give to you, but I think if I look at examples from our batch, the entrepreneurs who came, the businessmen who came, they really got a lot of learnings out of it, which was helpful.
Thank you, Krishnan.
Yeah, Anup, see, most often what happens with entrepreneurs, and I'm talking about because I'm married to one, so I do understand that mindset.
Right.
What happens with most often with entrepreneurs is we all fall in love with our ideas, and our ideas
Right.
become like our children, who according to us are the best in the world. And we do not think that other people who are supposed to appreciate or buy our ideas might not think about them with so much of affection as we do.
Right.
So that is one thing, when you get into PGP Max, you will realize our marketing prof actually taught us how to look at a product from a consumer's angle and not from a manufacturer's angle. And he actually
Right.
gave some examples, which stayed with me, which he said, students, don't think that features are equal to benefits. You might have a set of features that you are developing as either the technology developer or any kind of product developer. You might want to have a set of features in a product, but the way a consumer interprets those features are not as technological or any physical features, but they interpret features as benefits. So you might be for example, simply putting manufacturing detergent. For you, it has whatever, A, B, C, D, all kinds of chemicals added, which makes it a very, very useful and sophisticated detergent. For the consumer, he doesn't understand all your A, B, C, D, Z kind of features. All he understands is this gives me clean clothes. That's the benefit he interprets, irrespective of whatever jargon you use in the feature. And this kind of understanding, this kind of explanation from my professors actually helped me look at product development completely from a different angle, and helped me connect with the consumers who are going to buy my products tomorrow, instead of sitting in my own ivory castle and thinking, oh, this is a fantastic product I'm developing and the world is going to clamor for it. So that's how it helped, and I'm sure it's going to help you also in the similar way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anup, if I might add.
Sure, definitely.
I believe that when you go through the PGP Max break, your entrepreneurial thought will get enlightened and you would want to jump back. I can assure you, you will have at least a couple of such instances in your mind where you'll feel that, hell with the job, the opportunity is in getting back to entrepreneurship. Think it over and remember these.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Amit.
Thank you, Anup, for asking your question. Now I hand it over to Arvind. Arvind, I have allowed you to talk. You can ask your question.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for your time, first of all. Smriti, I have a question for you. Can I ask several short answer questions, or should I limit my questions to one or two questions? I have a lot of questions, so.
Sure.
So the first thing is, what part of your learning is from professors, and what part of your learning is from your peers?
Okay. Sure. So I am not an alum, so I think I'll hand it over to all our alums today to answer that question.
So the questions are for alums only.
Yeah. So if I might answer that question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So the percentage is completely your selection. It is up to you to decide how much you learn from the profs and how much you learn from your colleagues. For me personally, I just could not concentrate. I was a hyperactive child in the school, and so was it in the ISB. And professors were absolute no. So it was 20%, maybe 25 at the max. All that I learned was only from my classmates. They would beat me black and blue, and they would make me do everything. So most of my learnings were from my classmates.
Yeah. So if I may add to what Amit said, So I think again, my side, I was fairly attentive in the classes, and I think I would give credit to the professors also, because I very much like the selection of the faculty that ISB made into PGP Max, and very knowledgeable, very educated, and like qualified faculty we got. At the same time, I would agree to what Amit said, and I think it is basically the way the whole program is structured. So you have almost like 10, 15, 20 years plus of experience, which is sitting. And then in our class, there were 62 people. And out of the 62 people, if you just do the maths, the kind of experience in years that was sitting, I think that's immense. So relevant industry experience, and overall, I think there was a huge learning. For me, I don't know the ratio, but if it was, it's 20-80, but definitely the bigger chunk was coming from my fellow batchmates, but also I would give credit to the faculty.
Thank you.
Yeah, Arvind, just to tell you, when you're saying what percentage of your learning was from the faculty and what percentage was from the peers, I think what you're actually, I'm interpreting it as you were trying to ask us what percentage of our knowledge did we get from the peers and what percentage did we get from the professors. To my mind, knowledge is not equal to learning. Knowledge, when it gets amalgamated with need-based application and experience, that is when it becomes learning. And you really can't say that till the time you realize you have learned. So, we got a lot of knowledge from the professors. We got a lot of knowledge by discussing, debating, arguing, fighting with all our peers. And as Amit said, we also tortured each other into learning something at least. Don't go out of PGP Max without learning anything. I will make sure you learn something here, is the challenge we took upon each one of us. But learning, happened in a very amazing fashion. When we actually finished the course successfully, we went back to our respective area of work. Sometimes something happened, some challenges, some trouble, some roadblock, something occurred, and which we had to resolve. That point of time, it came back, at least to my mind, it used to come, if Professor Lee was here, how would he have solved this problem? What would Mark Finn do with this balance sheet? What would my, for example, my peer, the guy who's got his own enterprise, Alok, how will he deal with this kind of a problem? And when I related my problems to those people from whom I learned in my PGP Max years, that's when actual learning happened. Otherwise, till PGP Max, it was just knowledge that I was collecting voluntarily or involuntarily from them. But only when it required me to take note of that knowledge, apply it to my area of work, and experience what is happening, what is the result of that application, that is when learning happened. And I don't think there's any ratio to it. It's just that both the parties equally contributed to enriching my learning.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. One question that I had was, one pattern that all of you mentioned is the structure of thinking from the MBA that you got. One thing that I wanted to ask was, not just knowledge and application, but in terms of leadership and strategy, when you're managing your teams and when you're defining the strategy for your futures, how much did the program help you in that direction?
How much did the program help in enhancing our leadership skill?
And strategical thinking.
Yeah, so the program definitely gave us a framework of structured thinking. So no matter what is the topic to which thinking needed to be applied, we had a structure, because we used to brainstorm, we used to have group discussion, we were asked to solve problems as a group and come and present it in front of everyone else. So that habit of thinking on our feet thinking on the fly was developed during those years. And I can tell you that in the latter part also, we had that confidence that, yeah, I have studied with 63 other students who are all very, very, knowledgeable and articulate. I have studied under the guidance of a batch, a whole panel of faculty, all of whom have huge experience and knowledge base. So if I have learned from them, I can't be a complete idiot. I developed a lot more faith in my thinking abilities, and I was able to think in a more structured and confident way than I was able to do before. And that, I guess, added to my leadership skill. You're on mute, Krishna.
And you're on mute.
Yeah, my apologies. Can you hear me now? I think I had some IT glitch, so I had to dial in from my phone last minute. So sorry about that. So I think I just want to chime in a little more on what Swati mentioned. Like we talked of structure, we talked of the faculty, and then the question here is about strategy and leadership. So leadership is a very vast subject, actually. I would be wrong saying that doing any MBA or let's say 18 months, whatever you spend, and you will learn all the leadership out of a program. But what I think the program is structured to is give you the right inputs. And then I think the case studies is what Amit was mentioning. In the evening hours, your colleagues don't let you go so easily. So most of the learning is actually taking from the case studies. So the whole program is structured in such a way, beautiful case studies, all many HBR case studies, and across every term and the subjects that we have, I think the case studies force you with the learning. So those are forced inputs you get. And then I think the other piece is strategy is a very, I think there were more than one session or term that we had on strategy and leadership also. I remember earlier there was a question from Alok or somebody on the entrepreneurship. So I think all the topics that we may have in our head, it's a very well structured program if you see all the terms and the subjects that are picked up. So you will get inputs on a structured manner on both strategy, alliances, leadership. But I think it all depends on you, and the case studies definitely force you with that learning, surely. Yeah.
Arvind, I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Arvind. Thank you for asking. So next I have Sushant. Sushant, I have allowed you to talk. You can ask a question by unmuting yourself. Sorry, we are not able to hear you, Sushant.
Is it audible now?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, good evening all. Thank you for your valuable time. I have a question that how did you manage to get a consent from your employer to do this course? Because this is one of the mandatory things to do this course. I find it quite challenging. So if I get some ideas from you, then that will help me.
So maybe I'll attempt in answering this. So it's, I would say it's purely a one-on-one relation you have with between yourself and your company or your immediate boss. If your team or your superiors trust you, they are bound to give you the consent. And if they believe in you and your leadership and what your capabilities can be multiplied after an MBA, like what Krishnan said, they are probably bound to even sponsor you. There were many of my classmates who, a few of them who had it sponsored, few of them who had their leave sponsored. So it was kind of, work for them. And a few of them who were partly sponsored. So I would put it back that it is completely, the relation you have with your company and your superiors.
Yeah. So maybe I will also chime in another comment here, Amit. You bang on, actually. It all depends on what is your relationship and discussion that you have with your manager and line of managers. But also, I think there is a commitment that you can upfront make with your manager. We said work, the balance between work and family and the study, and here the work comes in play. Work is whatever you are currently into. So a commitment that you will still be able to handle the topics, because finally the employer and your manager will be interested in that. And thereafter, I think it will be a discussion upfront required very much. And if you can build that trust, I think you should be able to sail through. Because in my case, I did get all kind of sponsorships, but it was an upfront discussion and the trust that I could build. Sorry, can you still hear me? There is a background noise, I think.
I'm able to hear. Sorry for the surrounding noise.
Okay, so I think I would resonate with what just Amit said. Have an upfront discussion with your manager, employer. You may like to make a commitment into no impact on your current work, and then it should, maybe it will work for you. Yeah.
Sushant, I hope that answers your question. Okay, I think we've lost Sushant. So next I have Sonal again. Sonal, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Yes, hi everyone. I wanted to ask on a lighter note, how is life as a C-suite executive? I mean, I'm sure it must not all be goody-goody. There would be certain positions for which all of you, I mean, few of you, would be sort of in a race to get that position. So, what has changed? Say, for example, if you are a person with 15 years of experience, compared to what you are now, how has your life changed?
So can I take the question?
Yeah, of course. Please go ahead.
So if I understand your question correctly, Sonal, your first part of the question is on how good life is, as a C-suite executive.
Yes, sir.
And the second part of the question is, what has changed after you have done your MBA?
I mean, I just want to understand, is there some kind of jealousy? Is there some kind of, because there could be some negative connotations as well with the job. It's not going, it's not all goody as as is often being portrayed. So in the spirit of being candid with each other, I'd like to know that part of your lives as well, if you don't mind.
Okay, so that's a very difficult question to answer, especially the second part. The first part, maybe I'll attempt. What I would like to say is that life is actually good. It depends on the way you look at it. When I'll tell you, when when I joined the Navy as a cadet, life was hell. We would cry whole day. We would get banged, and we would get screwed the whole day. It was an 18 hours day, and we were not allowed to sleep. And when we finally fell on the bed, we would still crack jokes with our friends and laugh at every senior who banged us. So it was the way we looked at things. We would cry each other, holding each other. And finally, when we would be kind of going to bed, we would kind of, give out bad names to that senior who screwed us. Likewise, when we are in the corner office, there are situations beyond our control, and it's up to you to see how you can take it. You have to laugh out a lot of things. Not everything is in your control. So when things are not in your control, you might as well laugh it out and let it go. Things which are in your control, you work out to see how you can kind of balance yourself, work on it so that see that you improve your reaction to it, or you improve the overall situation. Now, the second part, I have not seen any kind of personal jealousy in my life. People who were probably jealous of me or my success were probably not around me. So I have only had good people around. So if you're going to have yourself surrounded by good people, you are never going to see anything like that. My promise. I'm sure others would like to add in.
Yeah, no, definitely, Amit, and I would like to chime in here as well. It's a great question, and I think also not an easy one, but I think firstly I would say when you are going at the top, for example, any C positions, I think everybody knows at the top you start feeling lonely, you are alone, and you have to take your decisions, and you really have to also hold your position. So here I think the friends for life, which we mentioned earlier, I think these are all peers in the industry, and then you have a shoulder to lean on and take some inputs which are missing in your organization sometimes when you're sitting at the top. So that's something which works well. Back to the program. But I think also the program helps you or any, I would not say this is just the ISB program, but an MBA, a proper MBA that you do in ISB, this one is definitely a well-structured one, we talked, but it trains you basically. And when we are at the top, what is that is required from a leader? In the current times, if we see, there is so much of uncertainty. Last year we saw COVID, this year there are multiple other challenges, and we feel, and then COVID is back with the wave 3. People who are running organizations, some of us here in your respective areas, you are running your functions and whatever leadership positions. So you got to make decisions in uncertainty. And I remember in our term 1, there was one subject, and that really gave us a little bit of jitters in the beginning. This was decision making under uncertainty, and so much of great faculty who really grilled us through, and we learned new things. But what I think we get trained is how to handle pressure, how to really take decisions, agility modes, and all these. These are structured inputs you learn your way through when you are really climbing to the C positions. Last piece that I want to mention, C positions always come with a responsibility. So remember that it's not like power and responsibility go hand in hand. So you have a responsibility to the organization. So life is definitely not bad. Amit said about jealousy and all, I think you can take care of, but there is a position of responsibility with the power that you get. And then that's what you got to deliver. But overall, I think it is fun, and sure, at least personally, I can say enjoying it. Yeah. Over to you, Swati.
Yeah, so Sonal, it might or might not be good all the way. It depends upon where you are, with whom you are, what kind of setup you are in. But let me tell you, yeah, it might. Let's expect challenges to be there, but that challenge that you're going to face after coming out of PGP Max, you'll have 3 different C's to handle this particular C. You will have the C of community, which is the community of peers that you are going to build. You're going to have the C of capability, which is what your faculty and your peers will help you develop. And you will have the C of credibility, which is you will finally understand you stand for something, some understanding, some expertise, some skill set. And these 3 C's will help you face that sea of challenge that you are going to encounter on your way up. That is one thing. And of course, there will be a lot of chaos and lot of obstacles. Otherwise, even the journey isn't worth it. If it's going to be a very, very smooth, linear journey, then where is the fun in it? It will be with some ups and downs. But let me tell you that once you have gone through, the student life, once again, after years of experience in profession, you will develop some humility. You will also learn not to take yourself too seriously, because you would realize, boss, as both Amit and Krishnan said, we studied with 62 other brilliant people. I am not God's gift to marketing or finance or the corporate world. There are a lot of other people who are probably more meritorious than me. So you learn to take yourself not too seriously. And as with respect to jealousy, let me tell you, when you don't take yourself seriously, jealousy can do only two things to you. One is it kind of makes you laugh because you realize that he doesn't know my downs. He's probably looking at only my achievements and feeling jealous. Does he know how many nights I have slept and cried on the pillow just because I have failed in so many other attempts? Or you would also probably get some kind of confidence, some kind of confidence from that jealousy by thinking I must be doing something right. Otherwise, why is this person jealous of me? So both those things are going to actually help you achieve what you are set out to achieve rather than stand in your way of achievement. So yeah, it's going to be definitely it's going to be a challenging journey. The climb upwards is never very smooth, but it's going to be a very meaningful and interesting journey. And I think that is what matters more.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonal. So I have one question here from the discussions that I have gathered is, how does the program bring a change in your personality, like on your professional side and on your personal side? So does the program have any impact there?
Amit, Krishnan, anyone wants to take that up?
Smriti, you want me to?
Yes, anyone,
Yeah.
anyone, please.
You should.
So who is going first? Maybe I take a shot and then.
Yes.
Yeah, I think again, it's a great question, Smriti, that you have. How do you develop your personality both on the personal side and professional side? That's your question, right? Yeah. So I think we already talked a lot today, and I'm listening to both Swati and Amit, and also some of the questions I'm learning. So learning on a daily basis, that's something I practice. And I think I was walking in with 23 years and then very quickly got grounded when I saw what is the format of this PGP Max program. And then when we really blended with the batchmates, and I thought 23, and I heard Amit, with your 20 years, you were asking those questions. And then we had somebody, you will be surprised, this was a businessman from Dubai, and almost like 28 years plus of an experience, and sitting there as one of our batchmates, and we got Mistoko, is it one of the faculties, right? So people were coming with all kind of experiences, very diverse group. And there, I think the humility and the grounding came. And then I think it's more than like the 18 months that we spent there. A lot of inputs we got, friends we developed, and the faculty and the alma mater that we have now to lean on. But also, I think as we progressed at least I progressed in my career, and I believe all the inputs, I cannot really remember every single thing that we learned in the 18 months spent into PGP Max. But I think because when you start quantifying and you say, okay, tell me every single formula that you learned, I think that's not the topic here. But overall, I think the learning that we got, and if I reflect back, had I not invested into this, would I have come in my professional career where I am today? I think my answer will be no. I would have struggled more to get here. So very good investment. When I look at on the personal side, I think, Smriti, then it becomes a more challenging question. But I think got a fantastic support from home. And then when we say MBA, it's a business administration learning. But I think you also implement a lot of those topics in your personal life, day-to-day life. It's not learnings that you only carry to your work and office. So overall, I think there is a lot of enrichment, and I have learned over the years and grown. out of PGP Max program that I underwent, I must say. But quantification, I think professionally grown, personally also, I think it did help. So these are a few comments from my side. Over to you, Amit and Swati.
Yeah, so, if you talk about it professionally, I think Krishnan was absolutely right that you might not see immediate returns or immediate benefits that you can incur out of this program. But over a gestation period, it does give you a foot in the door to the room you want to get in. It does give you a kind of propels you towards the destination that you are set out for. And that is how it helps. It not only gives you a very, it gives you a lot of clarity over where you want to be, what is your actual calling in your profession, and how do you get there in a very systematic manner. So that is one of the professional benefits of doing it, and that is how your thinking changes. That is how your way of working and way of moving ahead towards your destination changes. You basically think a lot differently about your profession, and you also see that with your change of thinking, the way your other people in your corporate setup respond to you, or mirror your thinking, that also changes. So you get a lot more positive response. You get a lot more people encouraging you when they think, okay, fine, this person has some clarity and he or she is able to go about it in a very systematic and professional manner. So that is one thing. Personally, it's actually, I would say personally, the way it kind of changed me is it made me connect better with my daughter. She realized that mom also studies after so many years. Sometimes mom also gets not all A stars. She might get a B and she might brood over it and then work harder to get an A star. She realized that studying is not only for children and not only because parents are kind of pushing it down their throat. Studying can be intrinsically enjoyable. She saw me going through the entire course, and she saw me succeeding as well as failing, and she saw me how much I was enjoying it. I think that kind of inspired her a lot more than I could have inspired her through any other means. So those are the two, professional and personal changes that happened to me when I went through this program.
Yeah.
So, Swati, I think you have spoken both the thoughts which I had in my mind. The first one was the way people perceive you. I think that has a very strong change when they know that you have something up your sleeve. So that's an important point. On the professional front, I did take in. I had a lot of takeaways, and my company Sigachi had a blockbuster IPO. And a reasonable part of this groundwork, I would say, or my discussions with merchant banker and all the capital market guys, I would attribute to what I learned in the campus, what I learned from my colleagues and what I learned from the professors. On the personal front, Swati again spoke about the kids, and it was the same thing at home there, that my kids would be more there would be more relatability that yes, Papa is studying, and he also needs to kind of open his books and break his head and scratch his head as to the homework and whatever else. So my kids were very happy that he's also getting his due.
Sure. No, that's great answer to my question. In fact, I was looking for that only. I have one more question before I hand it over to the audience again. So, a lot of times when we interact with the candidates, there's a lot of dilemma going about whether I should do a program or whether I should not. So, what value do you see in the executive courses in current times? That's my question to you. Yes, please.
So the biggest value that I see in this executive course is that it lets me remain, in connect with my job, in connect with my work. I really don't have to sacrifice my 24 hours, 365 days, or 2 years to kind of earn a degree or to learn something. I think that was the biggest value it gave me.
Yeah, Smriti, going for a course is pretty much same as going for a piece of clothing or a pair of shoes. You need to get your size. Okay, I mean, just that product is not going to fulfill your requirements. So a course is also like that. I mean, if we would have gone for a regular, say PGPX, a regular MBA kind of a course, it would have taught us a lot of theory and a lot of domain knowledge that we might not require after so many years of experience. And as both of them said, you heard Amit and Krishnan said that there were so many practical examples, so many case studies, so many HBR case studies as well as articles, so many workshops that happen, so many group discussions that happen that results in exchange of experience and learning. So those are the crux of an executive MBA. The whole thing is merely getting a lot of theoretical knowledge and then again spending another 20 years in applying and learning from the successes and failures is a lot of time and effort consuming exercise. We needed a course that was customized to the executives. And this is what this program did, and which is why we selected this program as opposed to a regular MBA, in any other institute or even in ISB. You're on mute.
Sorry. Thank you, Basuti, for taking that up. So I have 2 questions in the Q&A box. So one is how best can we prepare for the program before the program start date? Do you have any suggestion in terms of the courses that we should brush up or any books to learn in the background?
There are 2 things that are coming to my mind that we did, and we did as an entire batch. So the entire batch that got enrolled before our program actually started at ISB, we started getting over Zoom and talking about what we need to study, what we need to prepare. 2 things we prepared, guys. One, we realized that the first semester itself has the basics of financial accounting, and it also has probability and statistics. And these are 2 subjects which require some amount of hands-on practice as opposed to just reading from a textbook. So honestly, these are the 2 subjects we thoroughly prepared. We went through actually that point of time, the entire batch, as I said, got over Zoom, and we went through Stanford Online for statistics and probability. We did some problems from there. There were people like me who had some analytical background, which came of use at that point of time. There were also some people who had finance background. We had senior financial professionals from companies who helped us understand balance sheet, cash flow, all those things, which all the financial ratios, etc., which became very useful. It helped us absorb the lessons much better in the classroom, because when the classes start, if you have a broad base of understanding in finance, in quants, then you're going to understand much better what is being taught in the class. Otherwise also you will eventually understand, but you'll have to put a lot more time and effort after the class to go through what was taught and understand and absorb every bit of it. But with a bit of a preparation in the beginning, I think it's going to be smoother than that.
Sure. Thank you, Basuti. So the next question that I have is asked to you only. So how do you explain a career break to the selections committee when you're going, when you're writing in your application or when you're replying to that in an interview?
Why is it a career break? The whole point is a career break is a break that you take to do other things without focusing on your career. If you are leaving a job to do your PGP Max, then it is not a career break. It is a career investment. And that's very easy to explain, because when I got back, as I said, I got back when 2 months were still remaining for me to finish my PGP Max. And I told my people that, see, initially I tried to do it in parallel. It didn't work out for me because I was not able to do justice on both fronts. But there are people who are capable of doing justice on both fronts and they do it. But then it takes certain, probably, honesty with your own self to realize that you are probably not one of them. And that is how I took a break, and I explained it to my next employer also, that this is what was happening. I was not able to cope with both the sides, and I thought this to be an essential investment into my career. So I took those 8 months off, and I finished the course successfully before I came back. And here I am, all rejuvenated and with enriched understanding of the domain to take on another profession. So I don't think it's going to be difficult. People will actually respect you for the courage and determination with which you took up the course.
Sure. Thank you, Baswati, for giving such a positive note to that question. So I have one last question before we end the session. So Nikhil, you have raised your hand. I have allowed you to talk. You can unmute yourself and ask a question, please. Nikhil, are you there? Okay, I think we've lost him. So Sonal again has a question before we end the session. Sonal, you can ask your question.
Yes, so this is a two-part question, everyone. So the first part is, all three of you have been speaking a lot about networking. So any top 3 or 4 tips you could give us via which you stay in touch with each other? That's number one. And number two is, some of you have, said that you did this program to stay relevant. So after doing this program, what do you do to stay relevant?
Amit, you want to go first? Please go.
So ways of networking, is it? This is what you speak, or this is what you ask?
This is what I'm asking, sir.
Yes. So that's a very interesting question. It depends on one's own habits. The way you go around with your friends and the way you engage with them. Some of them engage on a smoke, some of them engage on a drink. I was very happy engaging with my classmates and sometimes profs early in the morning for morning walks or morning runs. So that was the way I would engage with them. Even after the course ended, I have been engaging with my classmates regularly on cycling. We keep going out cycling for 5-6 hours, and we keep talking on subjects, on their investments, on the way they have had a situation where things turned around, and we keep speaking at length. Running and walking also has been another way by which I have been engaging with my classmates, and it gives in a lot of free time, a freshness in the air, because these are all exercises, and you begin all this early in the morning, and there is a lot of positivity when we speak. So that is the way I have seen networking being done. I forget your second part of the question, Sonal.
It was about how do you stay relevant after doing this course?
Yeah, I think that's a very difficult question to answer. Yeah, I think staying relevant and doing the course actually, they don't correlate. Staying relevant is your own cycle of activities, what you do to kind of be relevant in the technology space, be relevant in your professional career. The MBA is just to kind of get your notch up. Probably Swati can add in more. I think I'm at loss of words in being relevant.
Well, networking, I don't know whether you're talking about absolutely purely professional networking, because, our PGP Max batch is not so much professional. I mean, it is incidentally professional networking, but we are one gang together. Okay, so we have PGP Max 2012 Always Party. That's our WhatsApp group name, and we connect with everyone on an everyday basis. Once a year, we have a alumni meet at Goa or some other place, but mostly Goa. This time, 2 years, we haven't had that meet because of COVID. And we constantly exchange thoughts, ideas, not only thoughts, ideas. Don't think we're always serious and professional. We exchange jokes, we exchange banters, we tease one another, fight with one another, sometimes shout at one another, but that's how networking happens. And that's how the bond develops and the trust develops. And we know that we are there. There are 62 people by the side of each one of the PGP Max team members of our batch, and that gives us a lot of courage and confidence. With respect to staying relevant, let me tell you, Sonal, when I got into this program, before that, I used to find it very hard to study in a focused manner. I could read a storybook with over a long period of time by reading maybe a few pages every day. Otherwise, I seriously had a lot of problem concentrating, because I used to be always under work pressure, doing things at home or in office, and that kind of took away my focus. When I did this program, I actually learned to focus once again. And after that, I actually, I have done this 10 years, almost 9 years back now. And in these 9 years, every year I have done 2 to 3 certifications, just because I got back my focus by doing that program. It helped me understand that, studying can happen in parallel with working. If I could do PGP Max and finish it successfully, I can also do this small bit of certifications on need basis and keep my job going and keep my home going. I can manage all these fronts. So that's how you stay relevant. You understand that it is important to stay relevant, and you can stay relevant irrespective of what is there on your plate currently.
I hope that answers your question, Sonal.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sonal. So with that, we have come to an end of this session. It was great having you, Baswati and Amit, on the session today. Krishnan, I think we lost track of him in between, but it was wonderful, getting to know about your experience and thoughts about the program. And I hope the audience also did have a good time and got a clarity on what they were thinking about the program. So thank you for joining us today on a Saturday evening and enlightening us with your thoughts. Thank you so much, Baswati, and thank you, Amit.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you so
Smriti.
much, Smriti. Thank you very much
for having us. And all of you there who are thinking of, or maybe kind of contemplating whether you should do this course or not, from Amit and me, we would just say, just follow the Nike brand line. Just do it, guys. Just do it. And then you will realize what it has to offer. It's best, I always feel it's always better to do what you think you should be doing, because I also feel that otherwise you might just have the fear of missing out. And that's not going to, you're not going to forgive yourself if you miss out and later you think, oh my God, I didn't do it. I should have done it. That's a bad regret to live your life with. So just go ahead, do it, learn your lessons and make your life richer. Not in terms of money, in terms of experience.
And thank you, Baswati, for sharing such a positive note and having such a candid conversation with us. And thank you, Amit.
Thank you, Smriti.
Thank you, and have a
Bye.
great evening, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.